Hello, and welcome to MVAO 101, MainView Auto Operator Operators Tools. MVAO 101 is the first in an 8-part series of courses covering MainView Auto Operator. The MainView architecture consists of several different types of address spaces. The first address space is the Coordinated Address Space, or CAS. The CAS is responsible for managing the communication links between systems by establishing connections between the CASs on each LPAR. The Coordinated Address Space also monitors the activity of all the connected products. Within the CAS, you can create multi-target contexts that meet your needs, such as grouping your CICS production regions together, or maybe you want to group all your production LPARs together. You can certainly do those things within the Coordinated Address Space. We also host all the security for the MainView products within the Coordinated Address Space, and as well as the MainView Alarm Manager. The second type of address space is RTCS, or Runtime Component System. And RTCS provides services for all the other BMC products that run on the mainframe, and it's really intended to simplify the installation and configuration of those products. The last address space I want to talk about on this slide is the DB2 Component Services, or DBC. And the DBC has a legacy as a persistent ZOS subsystem, so BMC DB2 solutions could initialize their own product services. But as it has evolved, its primary role in the MainView infrastructure is the hosting of the next generation logger, which provides some highly efficient login mechanisms for various functions within the MainView product suite. This slide illustrates how the various components of the MainView architecture fit together. Note that at the center of the architecture we have the Coordinated Address Space, or the CAS. And the CAS will talk to pretty much everything in the architecture, certainly all the data collectors and user sessions. In the upper left of this chart, you'll notice we have an address space called the MVS PAS. And the MVS PAS hosts all the MVS related products, including MainView for ZOS, MainView for Unix System Services, CMF, as well as the sysprog services. Some PASs require their own address spaces, such as MainView for IP, MainView Transaction Analyzer, Discovery for ZOS, or the MainView Storage Solutions. Down at the bottom, we have a special address space called an OLTP PAS. And the OLTP PAS can host multiple MainView solutions, including MainView for DB2, MainView for CICS, all the various AO solutions, MainView for IMS, and MainView for MQ. The MainView product address space, or PAS, is comprised of special routines to support one or more of the MainView products, depending on what type of PAS it is, right? The product address space includes all of the data management routines, including the data collectors, as well as the ability to store and retrieve data from history. It also manages communication links between the OLTP PASs, and that's intended to be used only for the full screen mode of those solutions. The user address space, or UAS, is the terminal session that's used by the user to access MainView. It comes in 3 different flavors. We have the MainView Host Gateway, or MainView Explorer, which provides a GUI interface into MainView. You can access MainView through a TSO session, or you can have a dedicated VTAM or EXCP session that you can use for MainView. The UAS is also known as the terminal address space, or TAS. And all 3270 sessions are identical, whether it's the dedicated terminal, a VTAM application, or TSO. They all look and behave exactly the same. This slide illustrates the architecture of MainView across multiple systems. So you can see the left and the right are essentially the same. You've got a CAS on both LPARs talking to the various OLTP PASs and MVS PASs and other PASs. And then you'll note that the CASs themselves have a connection via XEF, IP, or VTAM. Now, typically within a sysplex, you're going to use XCF, but you can connect your CASs via VTAM or IP, and the reason you might want to do that is so you have connections beyond your sysplex boundaries. Now, the OLTP PASs will connect with each other across system boundaries using VTAM definitions. When using MainView to access products in the OLTP PAS, the terminal session will first connect to the BBISS or OLTP PAS. In turn, the subsystem will connect to the local target that you've indicated that you want to connect to. And that's specified in the target field in the displays. It's in the upper right-hand corner. So the terminal session connects to the BBISS, and then the BBISS finds the target that's been specified and initiates a user session with that target. So within your terminal session, you may want to connect to a target that's on a different LPAR, and the behavior is very similar. When you go into the terminal session and you direct your session to a target that's on a different LPAR, the BBISS PAS will connect to the BBISS that controls the target on the different LPAR, and that's done usually via VTAM links. So in this case, we specify a target of DB2P, and although we're connected to the CISA OLTP PAS, he knows that that target exists on CISB. So we build a connection to the SSOB PAS, and he initiates the session with DB2P. The auto operator capabilities are divided into a few major categories. The first is the rules processor, which is really the engine that drives automation. It's the heart of the auto operator product. There's an alerts application for managing your exceptions. There's an exec manager, so you can take actions against your execs. Maybe you want to run them or look at their performance. You can see things like that. The automation reporter provides statistics on the execution of your automation. Some customers like to use this data to tune their automation so that it runs more efficiently. There's a solution called Open Systems Procedural Interface, or OSPI. And what OSPI is essentially a screen scraper. We would discourage you from using that unless it's the only way you can get your automation to work. There's a dynamic parameter manager that provides full help and tutorials so you can help understand how to use it. And there is an AO Anywhere facility that allows you to build an auto operator environment for running execs outside of the auto operator PAS. AutoOperator has multiple offerings, including solutions for ZOS, CICS, IMS, and MQ. Each of the solutions consists of an event collector, or a way to collect data into AutoOperator, a way to issue commands, whether they're coming from rules, execs, or from the AutoOperator terminal session, and they will also provide you with an operator control display so that you can take actions against resources in that specific area. AutoOperator for ZOS gives you the ability to trap MVS messages and commands, and what you can do with those once you get them is you can suppress the messages or you can reject the commands. You can reword the messages or reroute them. Maybe you want to change the attributes of the message by changing the descriptor codes, and you can trap events such as end of step, end of memory, and CPU limits being exceeded. You can also issue MVS commands from the terminal session itself, or you can do it from a rule or from within an exec. You can issue the MainView sysprog services commands from a terminal session, a rule, or an exec. There's also a facility that's provided with AutoOperator for ZOS called Total Object Manager, or TOM. And TOM is designed as a state manager for managing your IPLs, and it supports started tasks, Unix system services processes, and WLM resources. There's also a solution called Continuous State Manager, which has been stabilized and it's been replaced with Total Object Manager, or TOM. The auto operator for CICS solution gives you the ability to trap messages that are being sent to the CICS transient data queues or TD queues. We can suppress those messages if you choose, or you can generate automation to take some action on the occurrences of those messages. AutoOPERATOR for CICS also allows you to issue CICS commands, and if you have MainView for CICS as well, then you can access pretty much any of that information from an exec. With AutoOPERATOR for CICS, you can issue CICS transactions from the terminal session, a rule, or an exec. And MainView AutoOPERATOR will also provide you with a few different operator control displays. One for status, one for broadcast, and one for DB control. And in those displays, you can typically issue line commands against entities, which makes things a little less error prone for the operators. AutoOPERATOR for IMS gives you the ability to trap messages that are being sent to the IMS AOI exit. We can suppress those messages using AutoOPERATOR, or we can modify them. Maybe we want to change the wording a little bit. And we can certainly automate based on the occurrence of those messages and take some further actions. With AutoOPERATOR for IMS, you can issue IMS commands and transactions from either your terminal session, from a rule, from an exec, and we also support IMS Plex commands. With AutoOPERATOR for IMS, you get a few different operator control displays that allow you to issue line commands against entities so that you can reduce the opportunity for error. These OCDs, or operator control displays, include status, network, and then for the various IMS entities, databases, transactions, and programs. AutoOPERATOR for MQ gives you the ability to trap event queue messages on the local queue manager. This includes all of the instrumentation events and also the MQ configuration events. It is possible to trap messages that occur on non-event queues as well. With AutoOPERATOR for MQ, you have exec access to MQ. This includes all of the MQ API calls and can interface with any level 2 queue manager. You can also reword and reroute messages as you feel is appropriate. There's also an operator control display that'll show you performance and event statistics related to MQ. Total Object Manager, or TOM, provides the infrastructure for managing objects, or what I like to refer to as state management. These types of objects include started tasks, USS processes, and recently added are WLM resources. TOM executes in his own product address space or PAS, although he does require that a MainView AutoOPERATOR PAS be active, and that's because the PAS for AutoOPERATOR is a server to TOM. TOM allows you the management of objects on different systems interdependently, so it is essentially providing you with the ability to move objects between different systems, and TOM will manage the various states. There are several different ways to communicate with AutoOPERATOR in the BBISS PAS. Most commonly, it will be accessed through TSO and ISPF via the MainView C-list, and then once you get in, you'll go through the various menu options to select AutoOPERATOR. VTAM is very similar, except of course you log in through a VTAM application instead of TSO, but once you're in, it behaves and looks the same way as the TSO session. And ditto for EXCP. Once you log in, it'll look the same. You navigate the menus to get to AutoOPERATOR. Now, it is possible to issue commands using an MVS modify against the BBISS. And there is also the MainView Explorer GUI interface, which provides a host server and a GUI access to all of your data that's occurring in the ZOS environment. Here's an example of the MainView primary menu. For AutoOPERATOR, what we would do here is we would select option A. And this is the resultant menu we would see for AutoOPERATOR with the various options. A little more information about the MainView terminal session when you're using it in full screen mode. There are several different types of commands you can issue from the command line, including the BBI pass commands, MVS commands, IMS or DB2 commands, and the MainView for ZOS sysprog commands. You can also run IMS or CICS transactions, you can invoke execs, and you can transfer between the various products or applications within AutoOPERATOR. In the upper right corner of the terminal session, you will specify the target that you want to speak with or collect data from. There's an interval parm that specifies in seconds how frequently your screen should be updated, or if you've set up a cycle, how long it should be between he does his refreshes and scrolls through the cycle. There's a field that will indicate the status of the display, whether he's in auto update or whether he's waiting for input. And if you receive any errors, they will appear in the upper right-hand corner of the display. You can transfer to various products within full screen mode using these short keywords. I'm not going to read them all, but I'm going to leave them on the screen for a second. They're pretty straightforward. All the AOs end with AO, and then the first character indicates the area that is being supported with that solution. And of course, CICS, IMS, and DB2 are really pretty straightforward. It's just CICS, IMS, and DB2. It's also possible to transfer between various applications within AutoOPERATOR or, in fact, any of the BBIS PAS products. You can go to the journal by typing in log. If you want to look up MainView messages, you can type MSG. If you want to set up your screen to cycle through various displays in an auto update fashion, you can use the CYC command. And if you want to go to review or update your MainView parms, you type in MVP. Now within AutoOPERATOR, there are a few different screens that get used quite a bit. You can type in rules to go directly to the rules processor, XAL to see the extended alerts display. If you type in events, you'll see the event activity statistics. If you type exec, you'll go directly to the exec manager, and ALS will take you to the alerts queue display. Please be aware that when you do application transfers, they're stacked, and it behaves very similar to a web browser. When you hit PF3, you will go back to the previous display, and it does not refresh the data until you press enter. If you issue return, you'll go back to the last primary menu. If you do an equal X, you will exit from the last primary menu. Now, if you're doing a lot of application transfers and you've got a large stack, you may see these messages PS0995E or PS0996E. And that indicates that you've got too many stacks, you're running out of space, so you probably need to terminate them and then come back in. And you can do so by typing in init on the command line. You can also use the transfer command to switch between full screen mode and Windows mode. It also can be specified in the alerts embedded in there so that when you select an alert, it'll transfer you directly to a display of your choosing. Here's an example of the transfer command. Essentially, it is transfer space the context or the target sheet you want to see, space the product name that you want to go to, and then a semicolon, and then the view you want to see initially within that product. Here's a list of the window product names that you would specify on the transfer command. And there's a different one for each of the product. All the window products will generally start with MV. Two exceptions to that are CMF, which is our replacement for RMF, and then the Plex Manager, which is essentially your CAS interface. This concludes MVAO 101, Part 1.